Hey everybody, I wanted to put together a real quick little video to show you what you're going to be doing on the nomenclature lab. So in this lab, this is usually a take-home lab. There's no wet lab, there's no experiment. It's practice naming and writing formulas. And so before you attempt this, please read chapter 5 in the textbook on nomenclature and watch the lecture video on how to name compounds and how to write formulas, because if you try to do this first without learning that stuff, you're going to encounter some troubles. Though I, admire those that do read this and figure it out, because you're using your brain and you're critically thinking. Um, so there's some reading here on naming ionic compounds, naming covalent compounds, naming acids. Covalent compounds, by the way, are what we call molecular compounds, or compounds composed of nonmetals. Okay, so there's a few formula drills. Now, let me show you how the formula drills work, and then I'll show you what I want you to turn in. So first here, this is helpful for you guys. This is a list of the positive cations, their charges, and their names. So use this. Here are your negative anions. Here you have predominantly more of the polyatomic ions, as well as their charges and names. Use this. Now you have three three of these papers here, of these blank, well, they're blank for you guys, they look like this. There's three of them, and they're meant to go with each of these formula drills. So this is for the first page, this is for the second page, this is for the third page. And what it's intended for you to do with these is to copy the cations down on one side and the anions across on the other side. And so you can kind of see, I kind of started that a little bit. And what I was doing was actually just mixing them to make it a little more, to make it a little more interesting. So I'll give you an example. And again, I don't have that list open in front of me, because clearly I have this out for you guys to look at. But across the top of the sheet, you could write ions. I already have NH4 plus on there. What can I turn that into? So, and so on. And then across the other side, you could have your negative ions. Now, it's not letting me see what I want to write very, very nicely on my iPad, so I apologize for that. But you can I can kind of see. So in the square where we would be adding a sodium and a sodium together, we wouldn't draw anything, because two positives don't pair up. In the square where we would be adding a sodium and a chlorine, these do pair up in a 1-to-1 ratio, so we would pair them up like that. In the event, let's see, we have a sodium pairing with it looks like it's an oxygen, so we would need two sodiums to go with an oxygen. Again, this is just for your practice. These are drills, okay? These are drills for your practice. And again, I would recommend just writing some ions across the bottom, writing some ions across the top. Use these formula drill sheets as a template for that if you want. Put these across the top, put these across the side. Write out the charges, right? You should know that C2H3O2 minus is acetate. And if you don't know that, you're learning it in this lab. So you do that. And when you're comfortable enough having written some formulas, then you can attempt the sheet that you're going to turn in. What you're going to turn in is this page. This is the only page I want. I don't really need to see your guys' formula sheets. I don't even think you should do all three of them, all three of those formula sheets, drill sheets. You're going to hurt your hand. There's too many to do. So once you're comfortable, then I want you to do this page. Now this page has naming and it has formula writing. So on the first column, you're going to be looking at these names and you're going to be generating formulas. Calcium nitrate, right? Now, how do I know that? Because I looked up on those sheets that are also provided with this lab that nitrate is NO3 minus and that calcium is Ca2 plus, And since, this ties back to the drill sheet, this is the drill sheets essentially, writing the formulas, but with that naming component. And then the second side of this is you're going to get some formulas and you're going to write some names for them. So lead to chloride, for example, or aluminum oxide, right? Bromine monochloride. That's it, guys. That's what you're doing in this experiment, okay? You're naming and you're writing formulas. There's no lab. There's no reactions. It's just theoretical naming and formula writing. So again, chapter 5 in the textbook and lecture 5 goes over the rules for writing names, and maybe we've already covered how we can pair up the ions together. I think that might have been maybe chapter 4, but look in the textbook if you're struggling, okay? And then you're turning in this sheet, the report sheet on nomenclature, page 71. That's what you're turning in. All right, guys.